Hello, I'm Gemma and this is Non-Fic Books, and continuing on with the Austen August, I have a review of Caroline Sanderson's A Wandering Fancy in the footsteps of Jane Austen. This was published in 2006 by Cadogan Guides and is 219 pages long. Caroline Sanderson is a writer and journalist who has also written a travel guide to Greece, and this is sort of a travel guide to Austen without the guide part and with lots of musings just sort of thrown in there. It's all inspired by a quote from Mansfield Park that I will read you quickly. "You will think me rhapsodising, but when I am out of doors, especially when I am sitting out of doors, I am very apt to get into this sort of wandering strain. One cannot fix one's eyes on the commonest natural production without finding food for a rambling fancy." That's chapter 22 in Mansfield Park. And that's pretty much what this book is about. Caroline Sanderson goes to places that Austen either lived or visited, not all of them, but a large number of them. Starting off, well, let me just get the list. She starts off at Stevenson, goes to Bath and then Lyme Regis, can't even say it, Lyme Regis, obviously the persuasion link there. Then goes to Godmersham, Chawton, London, Surrey, and then finishes at Winchester Cathedral, where Jane Austen is actually buried. And at each of these places, she either rereads part of the book, thinks about the book, thinks about some of the adaptations, the role that the book has played in her life, the books have played in her life at different stages, and how the actual areas may have influenced Jane Austen, the way she lived, and some of the things she wrote. The problem with this is not that it isn't enjoyable, because it is. I really enjoyed it. It's quite a short and quite small little book, but I don't know what the point of this is. So it's quite hard to recommend it, because if you're a dyed-in-the-wool Janeite who is really into Jane Austen in a literary way and looks at a lot of literary criticism and really analyses the actual texts or a historical look at her life, you're not going to learn anything from this. And if you're just someone who likes Pride and Prejudice, likes the Sense and Sensibility adaptation, and it's just sort of, yeah, Jane Austen's quite good, you're not going to pick this up because it's just not interesting or pretty or sort of fun enough to appeal. So I don't really know who to recommend this to, because I do sort of recommend it. I really enjoyed reading it. I thought her musings were very interesting. I didn't always agree on every point, especially because, as you might be able to tell from the fact that this is inspired by Mansfield Park, she has a bit of a fondness for Fanny Price. It's just not something I can get behind right now. But it just, yeah, unless, like, don't go out of your way to look for this book, but if it lands in your lap, read it, basically. I will probably leave this lying around in a guest room, or if I go to a hotel somewhere, it's the sort of book that you might leave for someone else to read in the future. But yeah, it's where I'm a bit stuck, because it is good, but also there's no point to it. And the biggest downside of this is that there are absolutely no pictures or illustrations. And when you're talking about places, and some of them, especially like Godmersham, which isn't actually open to the public, it is quite difficult to really do them justice if you don't have images in there. So I read this with my laptop open, with an image or a couple of images of the area that she was discussing up, so it could really sort of bring it alive in my book, because as I haven't been to a number of these places, it was very hard to picture them. There are a couple of documentaries on Jane Austen on iPlayer at the moment, including Lucy Worsley's, who hopefully I'll have her book finished before the end of this month to review, because Lucy Worsley and Jane Austen, can I be any more in love? And it's looking at buildings, so yes, basically. That's probably a hint to my review, but I haven't finished the book yet, so I don't know for sure. And that helped because Lucy Worsley's wandering around a lot of the places that Sanderson mentions in this book. So that helped to picture them, because a lot of places like Godmersham and things, it is actually quite important to know what they look like. The scale of the different houses and the countryside are important in Jane Austen's life and her experience of them. So I do think this would have massively benefited from illustrations or photographs, but obviously this is more of a travel thing and it's done by a smaller press, so I understand why they might not have been able to do that. But if you ever were to read this, I would have images on your phone or your computer near you, so you could be a little bit sort of aware of what the places look like. Overall, this is really nice. The writing is enjoyable to read, the musings are interesting, but yeah, if you find it, read it, but I wouldn't go out of your way for it. There's sort of not enough of a point to do that. If you have any questions or comments down below, please let me know. Are you a fan of this sort of slow entertainment that's quite a thing at the moment? Because I think this actually works brilliantly for that sort of genre. Hopefully I'll see you in a video soon. Bye!